Hey, Feline. I'm tired. I ran all the way here because something chased me. And Thomas. Who could this be? Oh, I know who it is. What the fuck? What
You
the
like
fuck?
my new name?
What's going on here? Alright, we're waiting for one more. Yes. We're waiting for one more person now.
I changed myself, facing myself on my new saga that I just finished.
Okay, looks like Fredbear won't be able to make it. Looks like we're watching the movie without Fredbear. Alright, everyone, I hope you're ready for Echo Audio, because this is how we're watching this movie.
S.
What is that noise?
I don't even know.
What is that? What is that noise?
Stop echoing!
She's an echoer. I swear. No, wait, what? No, I'm joking.
We are.
Okay. Eh. I need to hear it. Where is it? You're gonna make me laugh and you're gonna make me die one day. I swear, Flynn. You're gonna be the death of me. Why is there no name on your screen?
Julie is
Why?
basically laughing right now.
I can hear laughing. That's all I heard. Well, Flynn, bad news. Guess what? So I signed a contract that had a pentagon on it, and they say if everyone that I love, which is you, and the engines die if I die.
Pentagram, not pentagon.
What he said. So let's just hope I live for the night and don't die, because if I die, we all die.
Are you eating seaweed? Okay, you can stop laughing now. The echoing made it sound like I said a swear word. Also,
all right, let me get the movie.
Here. He's coming your way again.
No, he's not. We're fine.
I looked at the ghost monitor. He's coming near.
He can't see us. We're fine. Timothy, the ghost engine of Sodor.
Okay, he just put 5. He doesn't know.
Like I said.
But he will find out a day or two. He'll get to the modern day.
All right, guys. All right. Movie time. So, Feline, remember the movie that me and you were doing?
Yes.
She's like, I have absolutely no idea.
I'm sharing it now. Once it decides to. All right, everyone mute themselves because they're going to echo badly.
Okay, go on mute.
All right, guys, here we go. Enjoy. I'm going to eat pizza while I watch this too.
Let's hope that doesn't get copyrighted.
It's hurting. Enjoy, everyone.
There have been so many stories and legends being told on the island of Sodor. Most of them were brought up whenever long periods of fog and mist came, and the engines would bring up these supernatural tales.
Oh, there's my missing eye.
That had recently been brought up.
This is how it explains why Timothy's
gave
haunting us.
children nightmares in the worst way. Once upon a time, there was an engine who used to work on Sodor, long before Thomas came in 1915. The story went something like this.
Island of Sodor, Nafford Harbor, 1914. A month before I was born. And Feline were born as well.
That means you have to be quiet, do dum-dum.
Oh, okay.
Early one night, there was a steam engine waiting at the docks to take his passengers home. He had a similar shape like Thomas, with 6 small wheels, except he was painted silver and had the number 0 on his side. His name was Timothy. He was an old but kind engine, with a broad smile and wrinkles at the end of his mouth. All the passengers climbed on board the coaches, and the guard blew his whistle. "All steam ahead, Timothy."
Sure thing.
Timothy was soon puffing down the line in the countryside, with the rails humming and the carriages clattering behind him. The moon was full, the signals were down, and the wind was blowing gracefully. As they approached the first station, it happened. The driver applied the brakes, but Timothy kept on going and shot past the station. He started to go faster and faster.
"Timothy, what are you doing?"
Timothy didn't answer. He just kept on going. Suddenly, they were switched off the wrong line, heading away from the main line. Then the driver and fireman saw in horror that they were heading towards a cliff where a viaduct was to be built.
"Timothy, don't! You will kill us all!"
The driver and fireman scrambled and fiddled with the controls, desperately trying their best to stop him, but it was no use.
"I'm gonna send you all to the graveyard."
The train had crashed through the blockade and had fallen into the ravine below, killing everyone on board. Timothy and his crew were also killed upon impact. There was no eyewitnesses and no survivors.
Who joined?
In the wise words,
Stupid back button.
The wreck was found by the workmen the following day, but they couldn't identify who the engine was due to being blown up and charred beyond recognition. When investigators came, they had very little evidence to go on, but the bodies of the driver and fireman were found, and they thought they had tried to save the locomotive and the passengers, but couldn't in time. Investigators ruled it as a normal tragic train accident with mechanical failure to the controls as the cause of the crash.
Many years later, after me and Feline were born. Me and Feline were young at this time.
Years later, the construction of the viaduct was commenced. However, After the rails were laid and the final works to it were being made, many workmen and railway staff reported seeing a ghost train rushing by, whistling fit to burst and cursing in a demonic voice before screaming into the darkness. Hear it.
Oh, pause it. I better want to pause it then, because I know she'll be back. Yeah, see, she said hold on. He was so ugly that he died.
It's true.
He was so ugly that everyone died. The end.
No. He was so ugly that everyone around him died, and then he died in the scrapyard. The end.
Yeah, we should not have said that because he can probably hear us. No, we just need to wait for Felina.
Because he's near you again. He's near you again.
Yep, this is what we should stop talking about him. Alright, let's wait for Felina and then we'll start the movie up again.
Silence! He stopped right in front of you.
Oh, really? Let me just quickly turn around. Oh, hello, Timothy. Can you please go away? Because I have a cross. The power of God propels you.
You can listen to noise. You can listen to noise. I heard nothing. As he puffs away, ever so silently.
Ooh, oh dear, said Duck. Where did Feline go?
Duck,
She
how
said
did
hold
you
on
even
every time
get
she
that?
Every time she tells me to hold on, she never returns. Never mind, I spoke too soon.
Oh, there she
Yeah, I
is.
spoke too soon, didn't I?
Duck, how did you even get here?
Shush! Movie time!
As he comes to a stop and slowly reverses.
Many witnesses didn't know that it was the ghost of Timothy haunting the viaduct, but nobody really knew whether to believe it or not. But it was, according to those who had heard about the story. And every year, on the date of his suicidal accident, Timothy runs again as a warning to others, plunging into the gap, shrieking like a lost soul.
The railway has hidden the legend that no one ever knew. Thomas Spam Forever. Presents Ghost Train. The Untold Story of Timothy. Based on a story from Creepypasta and by Nafford Fan 1701. Shot made by Thomas Bam Forever, and Diesel Queen, and something like that. Alright, everyone, here we go. Enjoy the story. I'm gonna sit here and be quiet now.
The legend of Timothy's untold story was so dark that if any children were told about it by mishap, they would get nightmares and scream out at night. But the story was never revealed to the Fat Controller's engines until now. One foggy evening, Percy was returning home after a hard day's work at the docks. He was tired and in need of a long rest. He was travelling along a route which he knew of. It was a shortcut to get home. Percy knew where he was, even in the dark.
It should be long now, for I'm nearing Crow's Farm Crossing.
Crow's Farm Crossing was located near Heckenbeak, which was a small hamlet serving as a halt on Thomas's branch line. As Percy continued his run, the rails hummed and the signal lights shone green. Then he heard a whistle that was not familiar to him, followed by a voice echoing in the darkness.
Children, children.
And that's when me and
Percy
Pauline
was
walk out and we
confused.
find Percy at the
He
crossing.
slowed down and whistled back.
Hello? Is anyone there?
I like children. I like children.
Percy was getting more confused. As he was about to cross Crow's Farm Crossing, he and his crew both gasped in horror as another engine shot out from the fog. Percy wailed out, whistling long and loud as he closed his eyes, expecting a crash. But then silence quickly fell. Cautiously, Percy opened one of his eyes as his driver and fireman looked out from opposite sides from the cab. No one was there.
What in Satan's name was that?
It looked like an engine, but that was no kind of engine, but...
I don't think that name was allowed in the shows.
Ghost Train! It's not like the one that we were told about, but that was so realistic and terrifying.
Then the driver paused. He began to remember something from long ago.
Percy, remember the time I told you about the ghost story about the one that I saw the night before and was to be a pretend ghost on television? I'm just beginning to think that possibly. No, I'm not kidding here. I believe that now it was not a fake story at all. It was real. I was wrong. The ghost train was real!
Percy's wheels shivered at the thought if his driver was believing the story that he had told him. But even he was starting to have second doubts about it. And he was still thinking about it when he made it back to the sheds. But just who was the mysterious and horrifying ghost engine that he and his crew saw? The next morning, Percy was still feeling shocked from last night. All day he kept on thinking about who the ghost train was, and whether or not his driver's story was really true, or still made up. The little green engine could remember the time years ago he was told about it, and then telling about it to Thomas and Toby. Thomas didn't believe it, and later got a fright from Percy after his accident with a cart of lime. It all seemed like yesterday, but both Thomas and Percy had not forgotten about it. At the sheds, Thomas and Toby were being looked at by engineers. Outside, the weather had changed. The mist had come down, and it was crawling along the rails. At that moment, Percy puffed in after delivering the mail train. But Thomas could see that his friend was not looking his normal self.
Percy, are you okay?
Thomas, you might find this crazy, but it's hard to believe. But I saw a ghost train. It's not like any other. It's so scary and very demonic, as if it came from the underworld. And when I saw it, it was coming straight at me. And by the time I opened my eyes, it was gone.
That's some story. And most of all over the top. A ghost train that looks demonic? That's mostly something you'd see out of a horror movie.
Did you get a good view of it? What did he look like?
I couldn't tell. It was happening so fast.
Surely your mind was only playing a trick on you. Or perhaps you're remembering about the event years ago when you pulled off that ghost prank on me when you were pretending to be the ghost train from that made-up story your driver told you.
That's just it, Thomas. Remember when my driver told me about that story? He now thinks that it's real. And the ghost train does indeed exist.
Wait. This was all made up. And now years later, your driver's changing it to thinking it's real. Come on, Per. See, ghost stories are there for a reason. They're there to give us a scare, and not like in scaring us to death or something.
You can all go on about this, but that ghost train story that I told Percy a long time ago seems to come back and haunt me.
What do you mean?
The story that I told was for real. When I was looking through the documents of past accidents and incidents, I stumbled across one that had not been looked at in a very long time. The records showed about an engine who had a tragic crash and left behind a haunting story that was only have been recently told. The event happened a long time ago, way before Thomas, Percy, and Toby came to the railway. The train was taking passengers home when, according to the reports from the investigators, its brakes failed and the engine continued on going until it ran off a cliff, which was where the viaduct was built many years later. The engine crashed, killing everyone. But as the decades went by, witnesses claimed to have seen a ghost train running along the anniversary of its accident. Even I saw it, but I got a better look and saw its face. The engine had a very cold presence, one that I never felt before. He had an evil and demonic look that only the devil himself could describe. The engine had a number 0 on his side with 6 small wheels and was painted silver.
An engine with 6 wheels, painted silver, and the number 0. Who was he?
The engine's overall appearance was just like you, Thomas. And his name was Timothy. Why, bless my bell.
So the ghost train that I saw was him.
It seems to be now that I remember it. It fitted the story of how it came together.
Timothy was an engine who looked like me? But I never saw him or ever met him before. How is this even possible that he can resemble me?
No one replied. The shed had gone quiet. Thomas was still in a state of shock. Toby was confused, and Percy was left with so many questions flying around in his smoke box. The truth in finding out who the ghost train was had been told at last.
Okay, question for you all. Guys?
Yeah.
Okay. So, what have you learned so far?
That Timothy
It's suicide.
What?
and that the ghost story that used to be a myth is now real.
Mm-hmm.
And Timothy runs around the tracks every now and then.
All right, you know what? You guys go get something to eat and drink, and I'll wait here.
I already have something to drink, but I'm not hungry right now.
Wayne, are you hungry?
Actually, never mind. I have to go refill. BRB.
Okay.
I already ate something.
What? All right. Do you need anything to drink?
No.
All right. We'll continue the movie soon. All right. We'll continue the movie soon as he gets back.
But as I was saying, I did eat something already. When you seen what Metal Sonics asked if I was eating seaweed.
Oh yeah.
Which is hilarious.
Yes, you do. You definitely do.
I was eating seaweed.
Jeez, that's a big bag of seaweed. Oh yeah, Floyd, I have a question.
Yes.
Okay, so when I was planning of when me and you were growing up, I was planning to think that if we were to get a job, I was thinking about taking care of animals. Would you like to come and join me? Hold on.
We'll continue with this later.
What?
We will continue with this later. Play the movie.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I'm ready now.
The next day, things on the branch line ran as normal. Thomas, Toby, and Daisy took passengers.
Here, I'll put this in full screen for us.
While Percy was shunting in the yard. The branch line was getting more busier as the week went on, as the summer season progressed. Thomas soon had to do some yard shunting, while Percy took over in pulling his coaches. Toby and Percy were sent to take some stone trucks from the quarry down to Wellsworth, where Edward was to take it to the docks. As they watched the train depart, the subject on Timothy began to play on their minds again. Thomas, on the other hand, continued on taking passenger services and workmen to locations that needed repairing. By the time the week had gone, the engines were totally exhausted. Some days later, Percy was making his way back home. He followed the same shortcut, passing Crow's Farms crossing and going through green signals. Just then he saw Toby in a siding by a signal box and came to a stop.
Hey, Toby, what are you doing out here at this time of the evening?
I've been here for hours. The points are jammed, so I can't go anywhere. My driver's calling for help, and a group of workmen are coming to mend the failed points.
The old tram engine suddenly noticed that the mist was rolling in quite faster than usual, and the moonlight's bright light from above was starting to become blocks.
My word, what unpleasant weather this is.
Suddenly, he and Percy heard a whistle from another engine, which was coming from the darkness ahead of them. It was then heard again, followed by an echoing voice.
Children! Children!
Bless my bell. It can't be.
I like children. I like children.
Then they saw the shape of an engine silhouetting in the mist. They couldn't see the mysterious engine's face, but it was certain that it was the evil spirit of Timothy.
My reign of horror will never end. My wrath will be felt. And one by one, all of you will be sent to your graves. And then he will be mine and will join me in hell.
Timothy shot forward, shrieking out loudly. Percy and Toby quickly got a glimpse of his sadistic face. They shut their eyes as they anticipated a crash. Total silence fell. Percy opened his eyes first, then Toby. They looked around, but no one was there.
But quick FYI.
What?
Quick FYI. Timothy just found your secret route and is on his way now.
Shutting the door.
So, that was Timothy.
Yes, Toby, it was.
News of the encounter of Timothy's ghost soon spread down the line. But Percy and Toby were not the only ones who had caught sight of him. During the weekend, witnesses who were waiting for Thomas's evening train claimed to have seen Timothy, mostly scaring them and their children, as well as station staff and workmen. Something was happening, and it seemed that less and less people were starting to come onto the branch line and take the main line instead. Rumours began to spread until one day Toby was told about the rumour. Later that evening, the old tram engine explained all this to Percy.
Looks like your driver was right about the story of Timothy. The branch line has lost many visitors. It looks like Timothy's ghost has been scaring them away. The driver says he comes running through the darkness as a warning to others. But what's with the warning? What is he after, and what's his purpose in haunting our line? Oh, that makes me shudder to think of it.
Oh my goodness! If the story that my driver's mentioned is true, then all this time we've been running the branch line that has been haunted after all this time with an evil ghost that he never heard of.
Why does Percy sound like a high Mickey?
Oh no.
Fine rain fell, with a slight hear of thunder and lightning. For the rest of the night, it rained, and it would continue to do so for a couple of days. However, Thomas began to think about the story of Timothy, for it had been playing on his mind for some time. The little blue engine was now lost with questions he wanted answering, but there was a part of him that made him not to believe in all this.
I was once told about it, but I never believed it. I thought it was some made-up tale to play in our minds. However, we were wrong.
So the story really is true?
I can't be sure, but if this ghost story is, and that this incident about our engine who had a similar appearance like you, Ben.
Then what? Are you trying to say that Timothy is somehow related to me?
For the rest of the
And show Thomas, he's basically you.
Yep.
quietly worked and
Well,
said
I'm his
nothing
driver.
to
Me and
anyone.
Elaine are both his driver firemen.
The thought of thinking that Timothy was a more darker form of himself soon overwhelmed him until it made him ill. Edward took him to the works to be looked at, while Toby and Percy did most of the works alone. Several weeks had passed, and there seemed to be no more signs of Timothy's evil spirit. But as the old saying goes, this was just the calm before the storm.
I hope you guys are enjoying the movie so far.
Yep.
It is good.
Future generations
Oh,
that
I'm
live
gonna
on
be
this
quiet for this part.
island
That's good.
don't even know who I am or know of my existence. If those who do remember me have either chosen or forgotten, or even refused to even remember me, I'll force them to. The emotions I went through, the suffering, depression, hatred, why can't it leave?
Alert! Alert! He's so close to you now.
Door's sealed. We can't get in.
He's a ghost. He can phase through anything.
I have a cross with me.
He went through your fun and games. He figured out your puzzle.
My hell.
It's fine. Thomas ain't even here. He's only after Thomas.
Yeah, but he's also after you thanks to the contract.
Come to know and understand why I am.
Well, me and
What
Thomas
you gonna do now?
Huh?
Nothing.
No, wait, what?
Nothing.
Are you sure it's nothing? Are you okay?
Yes, I'm okay.
Wait, need to quickly check something.
I'm being all laughy, that's why.
How long
Oh.
until you are basically on the rails again?
Not until morning. Oh, okay, Feline, there's something I've been wanting to ask you before we start this movie again. Okay, so it's been on my mind for some time, and I've talked to Thomas about it, and, well, he told me to talk to you about it, is that once COVID is cleared, and everything's back up to running again, if it ends up getting back up and running, I was wondering if you wanted to come live with me and Thomas on the branch line.
Maybe. I'll think about it.
Alright.
He is right there. He is literally right there.
There we go. No, he's not.
Okay, where's my
I'm a
shotgun so I
ghost.
can shoot this head off?
You can't shoot a ghost.
Crap, you got a
Damn
point. Oh, well, Todd, to a teleporter.
You
There's
don't have a
another
teleporter.
Timothy that I have, but
I
it's
will
a
wait.
girl one. Timothy!
Really
Harley, did you know that me and Feline are magical?
Yes, Feline?
Yeah, but they still can't phase him.
Shut up all the electricity power and turn on the generator power.
Wait, what?
Okay, madam.
Oh, shh. No. Oh, no.
What the?
Oh, wait a minute. Wait a minute.
Just here.
I said nothing.
Okay.
Wait.
I'm hearing things now. Feline, I think I've gone crazy.
On the contract, it says 6 a.m. is the deadline. And it's literally 6 a.m. right now.
No, it's not. What time is it right now, Feline?
I mean, in Sodor. In Sodor.
This whole city we live in, Harley, is Sodor.
Maybe time runs faster in your roleplay world. Who knows?
Anyways, back to the movie.
Well, you're dead unless they speed up the time.
A few weeks later, after Thomas returned from the works. Feline, why is it getting foggy outside?
I don't have no clue.
Timothy's
Percy,
out
what's
there.
the matter with you?
I don't know.
Get behind
me.
My presence. The years of haunting this line. The years of haunting an island that has changed in the wake of my demise still hasn't understood about me and why I did the unthinkable. Taking human lives.
Should I be running right now or no?
Feline, don't move.
This railway will soon be forgotten, just like me. The past of an era that I led the way for my kind. My kind of engines. The LB and SCRE2s. I was meant to be a really useful engine, but I was not worthy. I let the others have the pride and joy, while I became nothing more but a stepping stone. I hated it. I hated everything that this railway represents. Even after my so-called accident, I still see no change. I see the same faces, the same people. This is a worthless railway. I will send you all to your graves. And then he, the one who is able to survive and live on, will go with me into hell.
talking about send him down with him. Just who is it that he's talking about?
I know.
I know
who
I
he's
know who he's
after.
after.
Thomas, are you
Are you
okay?
I know,
I know
who he's after. Me.
Feline.
What? He's after you?
Her.
But why? What does Timothy want with you?
Her.
I
Why
didn't
is he after
do it.
me?
We're talking about it.
I believe that ghost train story was real, and that there was an engine, and that once ran on this railway before I came here in 1915. But I was too young to even know, or even remember back then. But now, it all makes sense.
It makes all sense.
Timothy is after me,
Timothy's after
and he
Feline
wants
and
me
I.
gone. He wants me gone from this world.
From this world.
After now realizing that Timothy's ghost was after Thomas,
Feline and Thomas.
Toby and Percy,
Toby,
were
Bambi,
deeply
and Percy
worried
were
about
both
him.
deeply worried about
But
them.
despite this evil threat, Thomas dug down deep inside his boiler to show that he was not going to be defeated by someone who was a near identical image of himself.
They've never understood the reason of what I did. My so-called accident has been
And then that was the night that
told
me and you were
time
sleeping
again.
near the rails.
Yet they fail to understand it. My kind no longer exists. All except one has survived. Why did it have to happen? Why did he survive? Does he still remember me? Has he forgotten? I don't want him or anybody else to forget. My legendary reign of horror won't end. No, it won't. The island of Sorrow's nightmares are far from over.
Thomas had spent
Thomas and
most of
Feline
the
were
next
both
day
working
on the main line with Gordon, Henry, and James in helping them with the heavy express trains.
With the heavy express trains.
Later that evening, he took some coal trucks to the docks, and then some shunting before he went to take a group of workmen to the viaduct, which was in need of inspection. The little blue engine was now feeling tired and worn out.
We're both tired.
He then headed into a siding where he had to let James pass through with the express.
Beep, beep.
Soon, Thomas was out of the siding and turned off the main line, heading back to the branch line.
Doon, 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 doon. Doon, 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 doon.
But as he got closer to home, the fog came down, very thick and heavy.
Feline, what's going on?
The driver and fireman found it very hard to see from the cab windows, or even looking out. Then, out of the blue, a much thicker layer of fog
I can't see a
flooded
thing!
in and totally blinded Thomas and his
Neither
crew.
can I.
With quick thinking, the driver
Thomas and
slowed him
Feline
down
both
and
stopped.
brought him to a standstill.
We'll wait here until the fog clears.
Good idea. There's no way we're going to continue on in this.
Thomas agreed as well.
Thomas and Flynn
But
agreed
only
as well.
after a few minutes,
But after a few
he and
minutes,
his crew could hear the
which he
sounds of
never
another engine
decided to
approaching.
hold still.
But the fog was just so thick that he couldn't tell whether it was coming from behind or in front of him.
Boy, do you
Then
hear
he
that?
heard its whistle.
It's him.
At first, Thomas felt very afraid and tensed, but he managed to put on a brave face as the sound got louder and louder. Thomas looked ahead of him, and there he was, the ghost of...
Really?
They're just gonna leave us on a cliffhanger?
No, it's a cover of the
eight. F that fucking gorilla. They're really just gonna leave us on a cliffhanger.
Okay, as I was saying. Wait, what?
Still going?
Timothy, you are real.
Hello, Thomas. We finally meet face to face, as if we were destined to.
So the rumors and stories about you are true.
Ah, so you have heard of me. But you've forgotten, or perhaps chose to forget, that I was the one who led the way for you. You and your brothers and sisters. I was the first of our kind to become the best. But no, I wasn't. You soon came into being and took that place.
I was too young to even know you. Besides, we never spoke, nor were friends. So how can you say all that? All I know of you is that you kept lonely, but always smiled to everyone. But I guess you never liked that in the inside, were you? The last time I was told about you is that you went to Sodor, and that was it. You became nothing more but a forgotten memory. But Timothy, you do know that I'm the last of my surviving brothers and sisters. I still live because I'm important to people. I was special and had the pride of a tank engine. Something that you once had before. And before you came this evil and twisted freak of misery. A dark side of a near mirror image of my very self. I carry the memories of that fact that my own kind was most likely wiped out, and I was the only one to survive. That scarred me for life. I lost everything. Feelings of love that made me and my brothers and sisters had for each other as a family. It was all destroyed. I've hidden all this away. But until now, with you doing all this haunting and terrifying the branch line, and now at last seeing you in person, has brought all of those memories back.
That's right. All the memories you wanted to forget. All the feelings you didn't want to accept. You have to remember me. Let's suffer together. Suffer with me.
No, I won't allow you to. My friends told me all about your past. You killed yourself for nothing. All for nothing. And you wasted yourself. The truth of your demise is just that, or was, the fact that you somehow grew tired of yourself and decided to end your life that way.
Shut up. Shut up. You don't know anything. You don't even know the real truth. That was not everything. That wasn't the end. So you think you know what happened? Just because you heard about my haunted past, Thomas. You don't know my suffering. You don't know sorrow. Faces that trembled in fear, even though they were innocent lies that meant cruel end to their lives. The terrifying pleading from my driver, telling me not to go over the cliff. The passengers who went with me, the men, the women, and the children, they all died with me. The negative emotions I had boiling up inside me, and my own self forced that suffering into me. All the hate, pain, and sadness, and that suffering. Yet I have to continue to live with it. So yet, how can you say that you think and pretend to feel all those terrible things I did and understand me at all?
I can tell you're in pain
I can tell
and
you're
in deep
pain
suffering,
and deep
and I want to
suffering.
know the real
reason
reasoning of all this,
for
Timothy.
Timothy.
What made you go to such tragic lengths to do what you did? None of my brothers or sisters of the E2 class ever did this. Tell me, Timothy, what caused you to kill yourself? Tell me!
us!
Thomas, the truth of my demise will never be known by those who are told, for I took that with me along with my victims. But all of them, except one,
Thomas is starting to shed a tear.
were unfortunate.
All but one?
All but one.
You're saying you had an enemy who hated you?
Who hated you?
You see, I was only a prototype for the rest of the class of E2 class when we were introduced in 1913. I was used a lot and showed we could be useful and reliable. I, on the other hand, was never to have had a service life that you and the others had. But I was wrong. I was kept with the London, Brighton and South Coast Railway and got to do passenger trains and freight work. Even if I did a little work, I still considered it a big deal and worth doing. You and I never met much, and barely spoke, but we would exchange whistle salutes as we passed by. And towards the end of 1913, I was put to the side and retired. But that was short-lived, and I was handed over to Sodor to help with the railway's growth. But I was in terrible shape, and being used so long, my parts were worn, and at the time was difficult to repair. But what was worst of all was the way I was treated by the old controller. Throughout 1914, before the outbreak of World War I was treated badly by the people who did not know how to drive those engines properly. But that was because the controller assigned them to do that, make them look like professional crew members. I never had any accidents while this happened, but I was so angry and embarrassed that I rapidly lost my pride and faith in who I was, and I went into a deep depression. Around early 1914,
How long left?
Scolded by the old controller. The fact was,
1 hour and 39 minutes.
Why?
Like I said, this is a big story we're doing.
Why is there this long story? BTW, who's right behind you.
Wait, what? Oh, hello. teleports me and Felina and Thomas away and back into another spot. All right, we're safe.
I found you again.
God damn it!
Only with money and greed. He later told me
Wait
that
for
after
the
I was
episode.
going
You
to
teleport
grow
everywhere, and then he just basically finds you wherever you go.
my cars being
Anyways,
so
let's continue with the story.
overused a lot and not getting enough repairs done correctly. At this point, I was so upset and enraged, my pain running out of control, and started to plot my revenge against the controller. I didn't know it until I left, but he was on board the coaches along with other passengers. Deep down, I knew what I was going to do. It would cost me a heavy price. As I neared the station on my journey, my driver applied the brakes. But they failed and I sped up, going faster and faster. I refused to listen to my driver's pleas to stop, and after I got turned onto the wrong track and saw I was heading towards a cliff, I gave in to my hatred and pain and shouted out my last words, cursing and falling to my death, taking every soul with me, including the controller who made my life a living hell.
So, that's it. That's the reason why all this has happened ever since. You wanted revenge on the old controller who once used to rule this railway for treating you like the way he did. In the end, you got your revenge, but it cost you your own life. And all those people. I understand it. I understand the pain and rage you had to suffer from. But surely, deep down, you had to regret what you did in shame and remorse. Those other people didn't deserve to die, and neither did your crew. It's time you put all this to an end and move on, Timothy. It's not worth being in this state of evil that you've been in for all these decades.
I won't rest, nor will I move on. Once I'm done with you, I will be sending you and your crew down into eternal damnation with me.
Timothy, you're being controlled by that inner demon. Fight it off. Break free.
You cannot stop me. I will send you to hell. You can't prevent me from completing my quest. The end is upon you. What the hell? No. Curse you! Curse you, Thomas!
By the time Thomas arrived to his siding, Felina was already fast asleep.
Thomas was still feeling let down about how he failed to get to Timothy. Hours later, while at the docks, he explained all this to Gordon, who was preparing to take the evening express. Gordon did not believe any part of the story one bit, and thought that the little blue tank engine was out of his mind, and that he only saw something out of his imagination.
Ghost train? It almost looks like you? With a demonic face like the devil? Paw! What nonsense! Why, this story sounds like another pile of rubbish that only little kids will be afraid of.
It's obvious Gordon wouldn't believe it.
Real and not fake, but the big blue engine was having none of it.
Oh, you silly little tank
engine and Fawn.
All this
You've
just
gone
fiction.
nuts. Why don't you explain it to Bambi? Maybe she'll
really
believe you, said
I
Gordon
just
Rivers
simply
to
stand up to it and
Thomas.
scare it away. Even if all this Timothy or whatever nonsense or whatever you call him would scare the likes of me, Paw! Just remember, little Thomas, I'm an important engine, and I don't have time for made-up stories that things will go bump in the night. Good night.
Thomas watched without saying a word as Gordon, in his boastful style, puffed away into the night. Gordon was making excellent timing, with the night being clear and the signals shining green.
These ghost stories. Paw!
Little Fawn has lost her mind.
Thomas must be too puffed up in his smoke box. There's no such thing as ghost.
But Gordon would soon find out that there was.
As he neared the viaduct, his driver saw the signal ahead, and it was red. Gordon was not pleased and confused by this as he came to a stop.
I don't understand it. I'm the only engine on the line at this time of night, and Henry is not due with the Flying Kipper until morning.
But he was wrong. A blanket of fog suddenly came down, followed seconds later by a deep whistle he had never heard before.
Huh? What's that over there? It looks like a... Oh my God! No! No! It can't be!
So you two have heard about my past. Everyone knows it, yet they fail to understand it. I'm here to tell you this. If you see Thomas, tell him that his time on this railway is coming to an end, and that he will never be seen again. And if you don't, you'll be among many of my next victims that I will take straight to hell.
No, please, I don't want him I'm too young to be scrubbed. No, I don't want to go to hell. Oh, that's wait, I must be dreaming. Oh, that's the one you know. Stop, I'm going to get out of here.
As soon as it happened, the fog lifted. But Gordon was horrified and scared almost to death. The signal changed to green, and he was on his way again. Gordon remained silent for the rest of the night, knowing that he had just had an encounter with Timothy, the ghost train of Sodor. At Crosby Station, James was taking a short mixed freight. He could not leave until Edward had arrived with his passenger train, who was running 25 minutes late. James was getting impatient and wanted to leave.
Where's Edward? He's supposed to be here on time, and now he's holding me up for the last 25 minutes.
Another 2 minutes passed before finally Edward arrived.
Late once again!
Oh, come off it, James. I got held up back there at the viaduct after a group of witnesses stopped us, reporting that they had saw something unusual and that it was on the same track as me.
Stuff and nonsense! Your so-called hold-up has made me late for almost half an hour! Now if you excuse me, I must be off.
And with that, James puffed crossly away with his train. James was trying to make up for the time he had lost. He was still feeling very bad-tempered. He arrived near Brendan's warehouse, just outside Natford's yards, where he had to shunt his train into a siding. The sun was almost completed setting, and James had to get some water for he had run low on it.
This won't take too long, I hope. I don't want to miss my favorite football game.
You can't say that again.
However, the lever would not allow the water to come out, no matter how much the driver tried.
That's weird. Hey, chap, let's go and see if there's a mechanic around here to give us a helping hand.
Sure thing. James, we'll be back in a moment before you know it.
Oh, great! More hold-ups!
As the red engine waited, It started to rain lightly, but less than 6 minutes later, it poured down.
Just my luck. If Henry was here, he'd be complaining and wanting to hide in the tunnel again.
Just then, the air grew colder. James felt the drop in temperature, but then he started to hear someone or something nearby in the sidings.
Children.
Is someone there? Hello?
I like children. I like children.
Hey, cut it out! Whoever's in there, show yourself! I'm in no mood for fun and games!
Don't you see it? The
Selena,
time
also, why does James sound like a girl Russian?
closing in.
Because he acts like a girl. Get it? Oh.
Oh, just like at the show.
Is almost upon us.
James suddenly started to feel tense when he heard that voice. Then he saw an engine appearing from behind a long line of vans.
Oh my god! No way!
Can't you feel it? The pain, hatred, depression, and suffering. Don't you feel it? No, you don't. You can't understand it. Thomas tried to save me, yet he failed in doing so. Pass this on to him. His demise will come. Once he's gone, I'll get my vengeance. If you don't, you'll suffer your own demise by me.
It's the ghost train! He does exist! He's gonna get me! Help! Help!
James was so terrified that he refused to open his eyes. But he did, though, when he saw that Timothy was no longer there, as did the rain and the cold temperature that had gone away at the same time. He looked around, shivering to make sure that nothing else was there, remaining ever so silent, even when his crew had returned. This was one night that James would never want to remember. Days later, the branch line began to fall on hard times. Less passengers started coming, and freight was being delivered by road rather than rail. Financials in keeping the line open was growing badly, and the Fat Controller had become frustrated. So frustrated that he would have no choice but to close the branch line. The threat of this happening deeply affected Thomas, Percy, and Toby. They didn't want this line to go, knowing that they had known it for a long time, and without it, they would have nothing left. That evening in the sheds, Thomas soon thought about Timothy, and badly felt that he had failed in trying to reason to him into understanding of how he ended his life a long time ago, and haunted the line since. But his last encounter with him had made him wonder if there was some good left in him.
He may have tried to defeat me once, but he won't a second time. This time, I will get to him and try to save him to turn him back to the good side.
Thomas is suicidal. Timothy is so lost in his sick mind. He's mad that he wants you dead.
I was able to get to him. I saw that he still had some good left in him, but his darkness retook control. However, I'm going to end this one way or another.
The Blue Tank Agent started to make a plan and asked Percy and Toby to come and help him out, much to their fear of not wanting to. The plan was to find Timothy and lure him out. Once he got distracted, Thomas would see his opportunity to put him in his place and end his reign of horror. Then the sound of Timothy's whistle was heard.
He's back again.
Thomas saw him from the shed window, rushing by, whistling long and loudly, and then fading into the darkness.
Do you think he knows?
No, but whatever is going through that twisted and sick mind of his good side has got to be fighting against him. It has to be driving him insane.
Insane? He's more than just that. He's more like psychotic and deranged.
That may be, but deep down, Timothy's fighting with his demons, but in the end, it will be over. We can help him and save him, but at what cost? That I can't tell.
The three engines had a hard night sleeping, but they were able to get through to the next day. But there was no telling what would happen when they would come face to face with Timothy, the ghost train of Sodor.
Emeline was happy to have her boyfriend with him.
Everything on the railway seemed to be normal. Many weeks passed, and no signs of Timothy were seen. But then eyewitnesses came forth, claiming to have seen him. News spread down the line. However, most of the people were not buying it or taking this very seriously. Gordon and James were still freaking out about their encounter with the ghost train when they told everything to Thomas, who couldn't believe it.
I'm telling you, Thomas. Last night, he threatened me if I didn't tell you about the message, and it would have been scrapped or wherever he was going to take me.
I too got the same results, but he said that an era was ending, and that we were all going to go and be forgotten. This ghost rays are immense, and we'll never know who he will target next.
Thomas looked very worried and could only imagine what the outcome would be if he didn't do something to stop Timothy and his reign of horror. One night, Henry was travelling home light after taking the Wild Nor'Wester. The moon was full, with stars in the sky and a slight blow of wind.
I should be home soon. I'm really in need of a long sleep after such a hard day of work.
You got that right, old boy. I'll be needing one too.
As he got closer to home, Henry entered the tunnel where he got bricked up many years ago. After coming out of the other end of the tunnel, he heard a sudden evil laughter.
What the heck was that?
Henry gasped out in horror, as did his driver, when they saw Timothy rushing by on the other line, whistling fit to burst.
Oh my God! Is that?
It's him!
It's him!
Thomas will be mine, as will everyone else. My pain and suffering will be felt, and then everyone will be sent to the graveyard.
Did you see that?
Yes, I did. So the story was true. There was another engine that ran on this railway and had a terrible accident. But I was never told who he was.
I do, Henry. I remember something like that being told recently. All I know is that there was an engine called Timothy. He was painted silver and had the number 0 on his side. And that engine who passed us? Yes, that was him, all right.
Timothy. So that's the ghost train's name. Now I remember. I think I did see an engine that ran through the other side of the tunnel while I was bricked up there all those years ago. But I was too young to know if it was really him, not to mention a bloody face with zombie teeth and devil eyes. Oh dear, what will the others think when I tell them?
Henry crawled slowly home. Unlike the previous supernatural events he had in the past, this one surpassed them and would burn in his memory for a long, long time. The next day, the sun shined, but there were few passengers.
That's gonna make sure I don't get copyrighted. Oh,
And if nothing was done within the next few weeks, the line would close.
Yeah, don't get copyrighted. Yeah, never mind. I'll just have to mute the song.
Thomas was taking on water at the water tower when Percy shunted in with some empty trucks. He could see his best friend was sad, thinking that this could be the final days of working on his branch line.
If the outcome does happen, we'll have to move on.
We'll have to move
But
on.
the main thing is that we'll still have each other. Our friendship will last forever.
Together. We'll never be forgotten.
Thomas could only look at the small green engine and sighed.
Inside.
A few more days went by, and by sheer luck, the Fat Controller was able to sort out the financial troubles and help raise enough money to get the branch line back in full swing. However, the number of passengers was still lacking, but it had slowly increased. Freight work was slowly rising in success. And Percy and Toby were pleased to see that the line was still in operation. Thomas, meanwhile, was too busy thinking about the plan he had set for his next encounter with Timothy's evil spirit.
Can you pause for a sec? I think what's happening here is that ever since Timothy, was found, I think he started to appear less because didn't the passengers decrease when Timothy came? So I think he's coming less and less, therefore, passengers doesn't come back more and more because instead it was slowly increased.
Yeah.
So basically...
Something like that, yeah, you could say that.
So basically, I think he's coming back for one last final round, I think, in the end. Try and, kill all the engines, I think. Also, I don't know why, but he doesn't see you. I see him on the map. He's right behind you, but he doesn't see you. For some reason.
Oh, luckily, me and Thomas both have invisible potions, so we can't be found.
How long do they last?
About for the whole entire night.
Basically, you better hope it hits. You better hope you have some more by 12 a.m. because I think he's gonna come for you as soon as it hits 12.
Well, then that's when we start going in the full swing.
Continue this. Are you on the rails or not?
Nope.
One afternoon, the engine's crew were eating their meal at a small table near the sheds.
Hey, what day is it?
Thomas's fireman took out his small calendar from his pocket and looked.
My God!
What's wrong? My God, it's day of the anniversary of Timothy's accident. That means tonight he's gonna come.
Thomas, Percy, and Toby overheard this and gasped.
Oh my goodness! He'll come running down the line, looking into the gap and shrieking like a lost soul.
Percy, you just said the same words that you told me when you first mentioned that story a long time ago, and yet years later you still remember them.
Yes, but Timothy won't come to warn us. He's gonna come and take you and send you to hell. That's what he said.
No, he won't. We will defeat him and end this madness. Tonight, we put our plan into action and stop him.
As the sun faded and darkness closed in, the three engines could sense that this would be a horrifying night. Nighttime finally came. The moon was full, and the stars twinkled in the sky. The fog soon came down, and fast. Thomas, Percy, and Toby soon split up and waited for the ghost of Timothy to emerge. Percy headed off on the shortcut route to get to the docks. When he got there, his driver and fireman heard a whistle, followed by a sadistic laughter.
Oh no, it's Timothy!
And so it is.
There was Timothy, looking so evil, twisted, demented, and very psychotic. His eyes beaming with red and his zombie-like teeth grinning from both sides of his mouth. Behind him were the coaches, the very same ones he pulled with him on the day of his suicidal crash. Inside them were the shadowy shapes of the passengers that died with him.
Who's next, Timothy? Sure thing!
Quick! He's coming after us!
You can run, but you can't hide!
Back off! Back off!
I think we lost him.
We haven't lost him. He's still on to us.
Timothy's laughter came, and it sounded like he was coming in closer from behind. Percy wasted no time and was on the move again. he crossed Crow's Farms Crossing, past Hackenbeak, and arrived at the big station where Toby was waiting.
He's coming!
So
There's
I can
another
hear.
ad coming.
Stupid ad.
Things of all the things it takes.
We are on the climax.
Don't tell me about it. Just better go back. We're like almost done. Of course, another stupid ad.
So I saw on your profile that you like to cook.
We're basically at the climax.
specialty.
Ooh.
There we go. Finally, time to finish out the story.
The time is nearing. I will finish what I started years ago.
Oh, screw you, man.
We are going to end this madness, and we'll be going straight to hell.
As the engines continued to fly along, they got turned off onto a different line. But the ghost train was nowhere to be seen. They thought they had lost him, when suddenly they heard him whistling loudly from behind in the distance. But then another whistle was heard.
Leave this to me. Timothy's so messed up in the smoke box that he'll have no idea what's about to happen.
I am not going without taking Sword with me. Prepare to be sent to the graveyard, Thomas, for your death has come at the hands of Timothy, the ghost train of Sodor.
And your death came at the hands of Thomas the Tank Engine.
Thomas knew that this had to be done to end Timothy's reign of horror. Hours later, Percy, Thomas, and Toby stayed in the sheds. None of them could even speak to one another after what they had just gone through. Even their drivers and firemen could not get over the night's event as they went to sleep in the workman's hut. This was a night of horror that they hoped to forget forever. The next morning, the Fat Controller arrived at the sheds. He had a very mixed expression on his face.
Thomas, Percy, and Toby, I bring some good news about the branch line. Passengers, I'm afraid, have rose back to normal, and your work here will continue as always. I am also pleased to say that the campaign raising money to fund the line was a success, and now more visitors will be coming. However, last night the viaduct had been severely damaged, and it's broken in half. Major repairs will have to be carried out, and I want you three to help out. This will cause problems with the mainline engines, but I'll find a way to solve this.
The three engines were surprised to see that the Fat Controller did not find out about what really happened. They looked at each other and sighed. Repairs to the viaduct took longer than expected, and it would take 1.5 years for it to be completed and reopened for the mainline engines. But as the last 6 months went by, before the viaduct was scheduled to be reused, workmen and railway staff had reported seeing what looked to be a ghost train, whistling fit to burst before it disappeared into the darkness. Rumours and speculations quickly spread, and it wasn't long before the subject of Timothy's ghost was mentioned. The Fat Controller had been told about the story of Timothy. He was surprised and felt the cold chills within him, and said that he had never heard about it before and didn't even know who Timothy was. Edward, who was taking a slow train, had heard everything and puffed away. Hearing about the ghost train story had brought back some old memories that he almost forgot about. Edward met up with Thomas, Percy, and Toby and told them about his encounter with the ghost train. But his version of it was not the same, not the one that many had heard about before, and the three engines were very confused and stuck to their version of the events. Edward, on the other hand, was quite convinced that there was more to the story than anyone had first thought. When at last the time came to reopen the viaduct, the Fat Controller came to witness it being reused.
Where will Timothy go now, sir?
Perhaps he'll finally be able to move on. But whatever the case is, he's not welcome on my railway.
Thomas felt the sense of guilt within him, but he knew that he was right and had to agree. The Fat Controller ordered that a memorial was held in honouring the memory of the victims who died on the night of Timothy's accident. This gave Thomas comfort, but he still believes that Timothy is still out there, lingering around on the line, but as a warning to others, like he used to, and that his inner demon was gone forever, and that he had found peace and could move on and rest in peace with the people that he took with him. Percy is still frightened about him and doesn't talk about his series of encounters with Timothy to anyone. His driver never mentioned the story and kept it locked away in his mind. Toby, on the other hand, thinks that over time, the ghost of Timothy will become a distant memory, while still believing that he was once a kind and really useful engine like Thomas. The legendary and untold story of Timothy was not told as much like it used to, but still, many people who enjoyed ghost stories would bring up the subject and give their own twists about how the accident took place. Many versions of the story, along with rumours and theories, have always been told about how Timothy met his terrible demise, but no one will ever know exactly why he committed such a terrible act in taking his own life. Some Roramen say that he has finally let go and moved on. Some say he appears in his old form as a kind and friendly ghost engine, remembering about the positive times he had in his life, while others believe that when the sound of an owl hoots and the mist rolls in, the sound of his whistle is heard, and he appears, haunting the viaduct and the line, plunging into the darkness, forever refusing to leave.
Is it done?
Yes.
Gotta say, it actually wasn't that bad.
That's the whole story that me, Faleem, Fredbear, and the others are going to be remaking.
That's actually not that bad.
I know, right? So I'm remaking the story, bringing back the tale of the ghost train.
To think he actually had a piece of art for once in the entire film.
I know, right? There's actually a second movie that we'll be doing tomorrow, a second movie night, if my live stream thing doesn't run up due to how many hours we've been doing this.
It's only an hour 49.
Yeah, I'm not going to be able to have it on probably 2 days. Won't be able to do live streams, so yay.
I see.
When I get a friend request.
I see.
Yo, and when Bon finally texts me after years of death.
Wait, did he actually?
He didn't die, no. He's just been dead off Discord for God knows how many years.
I meant for texting.
Yeah.
He finally texted you again.
I thought he actually died, to be honest. No offense.
Okay, where's my shotgun?
No, wait. Don't you dare. You can't kill me. I'm essential.
No, I meant for Bon.
No! You're not killing my bud.
I thought he was the bad guy.
No. Wait. We're gonna have to have a big talk later.
Well, the war basically happened. Did he change? Or am I remembering that wrong?
You're remembering everything wrong.
Yeah, well, okay.
Oh, okay.
Subscribe to my YouTube channel, as you can see by the name, specifically below. And also subscribe to Bambi, also known as Cute Lucky Vulpix. Isn't that correct?
Yes.
Subscribe to me and him, and
Subscribe
I'm gonna head
to
out.
Pauline.
Oh yeah, you could say something about the Pauline part.
Well, guys, I really hope you enjoyed this movie night. I should say spooky night. And hopefully tomorrow, if my thing doesn't run out, we'll be doing another one for the part 2 of the movie.
Subscribe to me and Bambi.
And Feline.
Yes, especially her.
She deserves it.
Yeet.
And this is Bambi and
Say Shadow.
Shadow. And I suppose since Feline's not here, I guess we can say Feline signing off. See ya.